Today we're going to be opening and reviewing these beautiful 8-inch off-road LED lights by AUTOSAVER88. Now, AUTOSAVER88 is a seller on Amazon. You can go to their store, just type in AUTOSAVER88, and you'll find that they have a wide range of products. In fact, they're the ones that gave me the 50-inch LED light bar that I installed on the rear of my RV. If you want to see that video, I'll leave a link down below to that. Fantastic light, big, huge, really bright, really amazing. I'm glad to have that on the vehicle. It provides me some safety when backing up. But I want to install these on the front as kind of like a fog light. These aren't DOT legal lights, which means they're not like a fog light per se, or actually what most cars have is kind of like a running light, like what my Chevy Cruze has, or my Z28 right here. The 50-watt bulb. They add a little bit of light, but I want something that if I'm out there in the deep fog, or if I'm out there in the woods and it's really dark, I want to have something that's going to give me that extra light to shine out and to be safely see, especially operating something large like an RV. Now, these things would be great if you're into off-roading. You could probably install these, or not probably, you can install them on like a roll bar on the bed of your pickup, or some type of rack on an SUV, like one of those luggage racks. You can install these on the back bumper, use them for backup lights. You can install these if you have a push bar that's maybe wired for lights somehow, or not some. If you have a push bar wired for lights, you can put these on or put them in your bumper. There's many uses. Possibly even a boat. Maybe you fish at night, or you're trying to dock, or maybe you want to put these on your boat so you can see as you're loading and unloading on a trailer. They're LED. They don't draw a lot of power, so very nice. Very versatile set of lights that we're going to have right here that I'm going to show you. Okay, so that being said, as a veteran, I pride myself in my word, and I will not promote and offer a product that I think is junk. So even though this was given to me for a review, I will give you an open, honest review. The seller wants me to take a look at it and give them a review. That way, if there is some deficiencies, they can fix it, because they want to give you a good product, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to mount these on the front bumper of my RV, so that way I have some good lighting. The last winter when I went camping, we got in some really dense fog, and some extra lighting would have been helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and add these to my RV. That's my purse. Like I said, they have a lot of things. Maybe you have an ATV or big off-road vehicle. I can't think of the name of the things right now, but you know, you can add these lights. So lots of purposes with the lights. So let's go ahead and open the box. Said I have not seen inside this box, so I have no idea what is in here. Alright, there you have it. AUTOSAVER88. They have a Facebook page. Through customer supplied. Okay, so here you go. This is important. You're going to need a 5-amp fuse and a switch. Connect the black wire to reliable ground. Assembled mounting bracket is shown. All bolts should be torqued to 25 inch-pounds. Okay. So appears to be one bracket. Nice, pretty chrome. We have 2 bolts. Okay. 2 bolts, 2 lock washers, 2 nuts here. So the small one is obviously for mounting, and then the longer one is what's going to hold your light in. Okay, bam, here come the lights. Alright, look at that. We've got some nice heat sinks here in the back to keep them cool. Yeah, it's nice metal. That's really nice and sturdy. This is what I like. This is why I picked these right here, because I like the fact that this has this brush guard to protect them from things coming up and hitting them. I like that. It feels really good and strong. I mean, I'm not flexing that. This isn't cheap plastic. It doesn't feel like it's plastic. So I got a magnet right here. Alright, probably aluminum. Yeah, be my guess it's aluminum, so it doesn't stick to that. But it's a good metal, it's not plastic. And then we have two wires here. We have a secondary light right here. And then we have our second bracket kit. So what you're going to do with this bracket is this is what you're going to drill a hole through whatever you're mounting it to, whether it be your bumper, light bar, whatever it may be. You're going to go ahead and use the smaller nut and bolt, come through here, put it this way because you need to leave room for the light right here, and then you're also going to need access to the back side. That's why a bumper or something like that's good. You're going to tighten it down, that'll give you your bracket. Then you're going to put your light through here, put the bolt through, add a lock washer, okay, I don't know where the Allen, it was talking about an Allen bolt in those instructions. So there you have it. You'll tighten this thing down and it should hold, allow you to pivot this any kind of way, or if you put it up. So not difficult at all. Okay. So first, let me just start off by saying, if you're not comfortable installing stuff, if you're not comfortable with electrical wiring and stuff like that, please hire somebody or get somebody that knows what they're doing to kind of assist you with the wiring and the diagram. Be careful when you're drilling holes through things. If you're running wires through your firewall, make sure you're clear. You don't want to be inside your car, drill a hole, and end up getting into your wiring harness, puncturing your brake system, hitting a fuel line, hitting an airbag wire, anything that would be catastrophic and do more damage than good. Also, make sure if you're drilling holes in your bumper or something like that, make sure you're not near any type of airbag sensors, any type of wires, temperature sensors. Make sure that what you're going through is strong enough to support the lights and that you're not going to hit anything. That's why it's important to know what's on both sides. So that being said, let's go over a couple ways that you can go ahead and wire the system. They sell kits like this on eBay, or not eBay, on Amazon. They're pre-wired, makes everything really easy. You have two connectors that go to your battery. You already have a fuse. You have a relay that is then wired to a switch. And then you have your wires that hook to the lights. Now I bring this up, I had a friend that owned a stereo shop for a number of years, and I can't even begin to explain to you some of the crazy stuff I would see come into the shop from people trying to wire stuff. People would bring in like a 1,000-watt amplifier wired to an extension cord and want to know why it blew up or why the cord caught on fire. Your 110 volts, like your fuse box here in the house, it's usually like a 15 amp circuit, 15 amps. You're putting a 1,000-watt amp. You probably have like a 300-watt fuse on that thing. 300 versus 15 amp. 300-watt fuse, 15 amp fuse. You need the wiring to support that stuff. So like I said, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not comfortable with electricity and stuff like that, please get some help. Now, the instructions we already know calls for a 5 amp fuse. So something about like this, which you can check my Amazon store, links down below. All these products will be linked in my Amazon store below. These AUTOSAVER88 lights, everything will be in my Amazon store. If you use those links, I get a small commission for directing you that way. It adds nothing to your cost, and it really helps fund this channel. So I would appreciate if you use those links. So this is probably the most inexpensive way to go, is a small fuse like this. Like I said, this is probably sufficient with the 5 amp fuse. This is a more heavy duty, this is a heavier gauge wire. This was a more expensive fuse holder, but it is totally waterproof. So if you're going to mount these on like maybe an ATV or a boat, you probably maybe want to go with something nicer like this that's totally sealed up. any way you do it, you want to make sure it is fused. You even have things like this that are a resettable circuit breaker that you could possibly use. But this is probably way too big. This being 5 amp, this might not work, but you know. Anyhow, next thing you're going to need some kind of wire. You can get this readily available at like a Walmart. This right here is a 16 gauge. This should be absolutely fine for like about a 5 amp fuse. Don't forget, the longer you run of wires, the bigger wire you're going to have to provide, because the more wire you add, there's more resistance. So if you're going to put a switch way up in the front and run them way in the back, you might want to go with like a heavier wire. Something about like this, which I believe is about a 10 or 12 gauge, where this is 16 gauge. This is a lot thinner. So if you're mounting this to a nice piece of metal and it's properly grounded to your chassis, you can go ahead and just take a ring terminal onto this black wire, ground it here. Or if you want to run 2 wires all the way to the back, believe it or not, yes, something like this, a speaker wire, is perfect for that. It's 2 pieces of wire that are already stranded together. It makes running wire really easy. Don't think of it as speaker wire. It's actually just power wire. It's wire. It's stranded wire. This is 18 gauge, and it's just 2 sets of wires. So if you're gonna run your ground somewhere else, like if you're gonna ground these directly to the battery or something, and run your power, that's really, really handy. Next thing you're going to need is some kind of switch to turn these on and off. You know, you kind of got your illuminated rocker switches is one way. You have these with like a little LED. I bought these really nice ones on Amazon. Links are down below. This is what I'm going to use. These light up blue when they're pushed in. So that's what I'm going to use for mine, because I like the way they look. Let's go out to the RV and start installing these. Next thing you want to do is figure out where exactly you're going to mount your lights, whether it be on a push bar, an overhead light bar, to some part of the body, whatever you're using on. Like I said, you know, if you use it on a boat, an RV, ATV, motorcycles, whatever, everything's going to have its own way of mounting. So you're going to have to figure out where you want to mount them and how to attach it. Like I said, they do provide brackets that you know, convenient. They go right around here, and it gives you just a nice simple way of mounting. So I do want to say one thing. I saw weird comments on the Amazon reviews about how hard these were to bolt up. You know, if you put the bracket through here and then try to tighten it, yeah, that might be a hassle. But also right here inside the bracket, there's 2 raised spots, and that designed to hold the bolt so you can tighten it. So I don't know what the problem is with that. I don't know why everybody said this was so hard to get on, but really I just recommend go ahead and bolt your bracket on first, and then you can put the light and hold it in and just make your life easier. So like I said, find you a place. Fortunately, my van here, the RV, already has 2 holes in the bumper, which worked out perfectly. They were a little bit large. I did have to use a washer to mount it. But if you do have to drill through your bumper or anything steel, I recommend you get one of these step drill bits. I got this at Harbor Freight. Pretty inexpensive, but I really find this thing makes your life cutting through metal very easy. I've gone through, I did a set of airbags on a vehicle I had, and I had to route the hoses through the frame. That went right through beautifully. So anyhow, yeah, so what we're going to do is, using the provided hardware that they gave us plus my washer, we're going to go ahead and feed this through the hole. Now what you need is a 13 millimeter for this, and then you need or this is a 14 millimeter. The bolt, the nuts are 13 millimeter. So we're just going to feed it up here like so. Don't forget to use your provided lock washer. So the lock washer always goes against the nut. So you put this through the metal, you do your lock washer, and then you do the nut. Or in my case, like I'm going to add this washer, I'll do the washer, then the lock washer. And this will keep it from, when you're driving down the road rattling. The lock washers lock the nut on. It helps keep upward pressure on it so you don't lose your lights. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the light through here, through the bracket, feed the bolt in. Then our lock washer, and then our nut. I think I know what the complaints were about. The nut and bolt is so close to here, it's very hard. You really can't even get a socket in here to try to tighten it. It's very hard. So I think the manufacturer needs to do is make these little tabs right here slightly longer, because yeah, the bolts are so close. Yeah, getting a socket in there is about hard. Wow. Yeah, so I would say that's probably one little issue there, that this ear that sticks up here is extremely close. So what you can do is just take your wrench and hold it about sideways. I'm still able to kind of get this socket in here a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just get it snug and then figure out kind of what angle I want to have this at. Well, that's why they give these lights to YouTubers like me to go ahead and review. They want an honest review of anything that we find. So I will email them and let them know that I do believe that the design of the ears need to be made a little bit longer, or possibly the bolts a little bit smaller, but it just needs to be designed so you can get a socket in here and tighten it up. Alright, they're bolted in, so what do you think? I think it looks pretty good. What I really like here is that because the way I'm mounting these down low, they have these guards, so if I hit anything, it should protect the lens back here. So now we're going to go ahead and wire these up. So here I have the harness I showed you earlier. I have it wired here to my positive. I have the relay and the ground wire screwed to a factory connections. For a good ground, I use the factory connection, and I have the relay there through that bolt as well to help take some of the stress off the wiring harness. The wiring harness runs down here to both of these beautiful lights. Let me show you what we did here. Okay, so the harness coming here, we have connectors here to connect the light to that harness, and then the same thing over here. We use these plastic clips right here to help keep the wires from falling and to take the stress off of these connectors. Now normally I wouldn't use like this type of butt connector. These are from Harbor Freight, and they actually are a heat shrink butt connector. So you crimp them together and then you heat them up and they seal up. So I'm kind of curious to see how these work too. So I'm going to go ahead and use them. Normally I would solder and heat shrink anything here exposed to the weather, but this really seems like a quick, easy solution to that. So I'm going to give them a try and see how well they do as well. The rest of the harness for the switch I have run right here. I still have to finish wire tying this up so it doesn't fall down into the engine, and it comes over here to the switch. So the only thing left to do is find a place here through the firewall, somewhere here, and drill a hole and run the wires through. I'm not going to drill the hole right now. I'm not going to use this switch for the harness. Like I said before, I have a set of 3 switches I'm going to be running, because I have the back light, the front light, and a horn that I want to customize, and that's going to be a lot of wiring, and it's going to make this video really long. But for the sake of it, and then also too, I really don't want to drill a hole big enough for this. But all you really have to do is just drill a hole through here. Be careful you don't puncture anything. especially if you're coming from the inside, because you don't want to hit any of these containers or hoses. And then this switch just double sticks somewhere. Boom, too easy, right? So the only thing is, when you go through the firewall, if you're doing it this way, make sure you use some type of plastic or rubber grommet, because you don't want the wires to stretch. So I mean, that's really simple to do. Like I said earlier, there's numerous applications for these lights. You can use them on a boat, any type of off-road, like an ATV, maybe a motorcycle. If you got something with a bar somewhere to mount these things, you can use them on about anything. For me, I'm using them here on the vehicle. Now, they're not DOT legal. These are not fog lights. I'm not going to be driving down the highway with them. For me, because I like to camp at, say, like BLM land, national forest, state forest, a lot of things that you tend to find them off the beaten path, down some really dark roads. And if I'm coming in and out at night, or if it's like really foggy out, I want to have that extra visibility, because these areas are really prone to having a lot of wildlife running around too, and I really want to see it. So that's why I'm putting them on here, because this thing, you know, we take this vehicle off into the forest. So like I said, you can use this for a lot of other things. So your wiring applications are going to be different. This harness I actually used from my 50-inch light bar. If you guys seen that video, I'll leave a link down below. Unfortunately, I couldn't use this harness with that light bar because it's so far in the back of the vehicle, and where the switch is, it wouldn't reach. But for the intents and purposes of that video, I did show the light bar working with this harness, just like I'll show you now, it working with these lights. So you can buy these harnesses separately on Amazon as well, or if you're handy electrically, you can get you a switch and wire it up like I showed you earlier with the relay. So I know this is still daytime. It's not really like a good representation of anything, but you can see them shining in the house. You can kind of see a little bit of the ground lighting up. So we're going to go ahead and wait for it to get dark out, and then we're going to try out these lights and see how it lights up this yard. This yard gets pretty dark at night. We're going to see how that lights up. Alright, ready to see how bright this is. Whoa, wow. Holy smoke. Alright, there you go, man. That is bright. Wow. That lighting up the house. Look at this path. Now that should get me safely down any road and any fog. Wow. There you have it. Wow. Yeah, that's lighting up the path quite nicely, as you can see. Look at that. All right. There we have it, the nighttime test. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Look at that. Wow. They are bright. Alright everybody, the company's AUTOSAVER88. I'd like to thank them for the opportunity to go ahead and try out not only these lights on the front, the 50-inch light bar on the back. Like I said, you can just go to Amazon, do a search for AUTOSAVER88. They have all kinds of car parts, not just LED lights, but they have mirrors, catalytic converters, I think. They have all kinds of car parts, so go ahead and check them out. If you want to, it would help me out if you go to my Amazon store, link down below. You can find AUTOSAVER88. Click on any of my light bar accessory pieces, it'll take you to theirs, and I'll get a small commission if you buy anything for them, and that helps me do videos like this and keep this channel up and running, and I appreciate you if you did it that way. It adds nothing to your cost. So hopefully you liked the video. I'll leave a pinned comment down below. I'll also keep updating this in my videos in the future, how these lights are doing, both front and rear. So don't worry about, hey, this is just a short time thing. If a year from now these lights start to fail, if they start coming apart, I'll leave a comment down below. I'll pin it and let you know, hey, these lights failed for whatever reason. Or I might just update it every 6 months or whatever and say, hey, lights are still doing good. like I said, I'm also going to mention them in upcoming videos like I've done with other products. Like I have the Auxbeam LED headlights in the Chevy Cruze. I've mentioned that several times, how they're still doing good. They work really well. So I tend to keep promoting products that people give to me. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you like the lights. Go ahead, shop, get them. So far, from what I can see, they seem like a really good product. So go ahead and give them a shot. AUTOSAVER88. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, shares, comments down below, and we'll see you on the next one.